All right, welcome everyone. I am so glad that you are here today. Thank you for being in. My name is Zaltana. You can also call me Gigi. And actually, thank you. Once we are coming in, if you could go ahead and make sure that you are muted and make sure that your camera is turned off, just so we can stay focused, stay present, and also go ahead and get you a glass of water, get you a glass of hot tea, whatever you're drinking, and go ahead and settle in with a pen and paper. If you feel called to take notes, we're going to be going over a good amount of information today. So we are going to go ahead and begin. This masterclass is called Water Reclamation because the truth is, we are living in a time where we must actively reclaim what should have always been ours. Water is our birthright. We come from water, we are water, and truly our birthrights are clean water, a healthy body, a healthy vessel, and being able to be sovereign. And this is what we're going to be sharing today. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to my slides, and then we will tap in. Here goes that troubleshooting once more. So let's go ahead and boop, make sure I can see the screen I'm sharing. Here it goes. Beautiful. Wonderful. Oh, yes, this is super awesome. Okay, this is where we're at, babes. Water is the foundation, and you will begin to see just how important water is to our overall foundation when it comes to our health and our wealth. But tonight, we're going to talk about our water systems and how we can improve them. This is not to scare you, this is truly to just empower you. We are here to operate from empowerment and from truth and not from fear or from hype. Once you understand what is actually in your water and how it affects your health, you'll actually see what the real solutions are, how you can actually begin to make empowered decisions, and where you actually begin to see those shifts in your life once you are taking this aligned action towards your health. And so, my intention for tonight is simple. I want your home, your family, and your body to be protected, energized, and sovereign starting tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and change the slide now, and we will go. And once again, babes, we're all troubleshooting together. So you should still be able to see my screen. I can see your comments below. So if you want to go ahead and drop any comments, if you feel like if you're not receiving the slides, then we can troubleshoot that together. All right, let's go ahead. We are learning this together, y'all. Boom! First slide. And I'm gonna bring that down. Okay. So here it goes, babes. My name is Zaltana Wild. This is a little bit more about my personal journey, and I'm actually gonna see if I can. I wish I could make that a little bit smaller just to make sure. Here it goes. Perfect. This is my personal journey, a little bit about my personal journey, how the water opened up my mission, and why sovereignty matters now. So you will see if you've been following me on my main page, and you'll also learn a little bit about me tonight. I am a water priestess. I tap into the oceanic frequency, the oceanic memory, as well as the mermaid and siren code. So I love channeling the water in my spiritual practices and just in my wellness overall. And because I have a background in holistic health as a Reiki practitioner, mental health guide, um, sensual empowerment leader, as well as women's coach. I mean, my work is about the woman, the wild woman, and really understanding the creative power that we hold in our womb space, which when we are born as babies, we are, that the womb, that watery cave, if you will, is quite literally our birthing place. And so we get to see this very multifaceted in a multifaceted way, in a very multidimensional way, Water holds the memory, but it also holds possibility. When you change your water, you change your life. So before we really tap in, I want to just go ahead and ground us all here. The truth is that America is already in a serious water crisis. I mean, you can see even from multiple states that have not had clean access to drinking water in so long. Most families have genuinely no idea what is in their water, what is coming out of their taps. They have no idea what's being taught in our schools. The fact is that nobody is teaching this at all. Not doctors, not municipalities. It's almost like a hidden secret a little bit. Like, really, nobody knows what's in their water. And you really don't even know what's in your water bottles either that you buy from the store. Most people assume that what comes out of their water faucet is safe, but they really don't know what's in there. And tonight we get to really unfold all of that and uncover the truth, which gets to prove something different because a lot of people think that there's nothing in it. But I think that more people these days are waking up to the truth of the contaminants that are in the water. And guys, go ahead and let me know. Can you see the slides okay? If somebody wants to pop on their camera and give me a thumbs up because it may or may not show me the chat. All right, let's continue to dive in. Once again, thank you all for being here and thank you for being present with this. Let's tap in. Today, all of this truly gets to change. We get to educate ourselves on what is truly going on in our water. No matter where you are, no matter what your background is, we are here to educate and we are here to create awareness so that way we are all in true understanding of how we can actually solve this water crisis in general. Okay. So, no matter if you were here because you were already a part of the tribe or if somebody invited you here, welcome. This is important to all of us. Water is important to every single one of us. And so, this truly does affect all of us. You're here because something in you already knows that it's time to lead in your home and in your life differently. So, whether you are just finding out about this or you've been kind of getting dripped on for a little bit, this just gets to be another step and another aspect of you being sovereign in the choices that you're making for your health, your wealth, and your water. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Seeing we got some new peeps joining in. Please go ahead and mute and also go off camera, please. So go ahead and turn off your cameras and turn off your audio just to make sure that there is no extra feedback. All right. And so I just want to share a little bit more kind of about my journey and like how the water changed my life. I can just say too, I shared a little bit about like being a water priestess and just having it being fused in my art in my spiritual journey. I've also started keeping a bit of a like water transmission alchemy. It's like a flow alchemy. And I actually share that on my Patreon. And I've been sharing it on my YouTube and my other social medias for a while, where I've shown different musical activations, water activations. I've shared a little bit about the science, and I'm getting more into that. Because people want to know the truth. And I think it's one thing when you can share not only like the magic that something holds and the science that proves what is really going on and how this really benefits. So I've seen the what has changed within my hydration. As an artist, as a performer, it is so important for me to stay hydrated. It is so important for me to stay like in my vital energy, fully tapped into my like nourishment energy, because if you are resonating with being that goddess, that priestess, or even just a well-resourced, well-nourished woman or man, that includes being hydrated to the highest degree, because what we put on and in our bodies really matters. And I knew that, which is why I wanted to get into the health and wellness profession in general, because I genuinely wondered, why was there so many people that had chronic health issues, chronic fatigue, autoimmune diseases? Like, I was really into the pathology of these different diseases, these different illnesses, and why they were happening and taking place in the body, and what we could do on an individual and a collective level to be able to solve some of these issues. And because I'm into holistic health and holistic medicine, this was the perfect entryway. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I'm already addressing what I put on and in my body, my skincare, my hair, my perfumes, the oils that I use, these types of things. But it's also about, okay, what types of food am I eating? What types of, what am I drinking? The sodas and the alcohols and all these things, they're really not good for you. Everything in moderation, but really, we're here to really take back our health. And sometimes we have to do that by detoxing and by knowing the kind of like the little bit of the ugly truth of what the chemicals and everything that's really in here. Okay, so let's dive deep. I've always said that water holds the memory, but it also holds the possibility. Now, let's really tap in because I want you to see what has really changed in my life on a deeper level. So, this is what you're going to learn tonight. You're going to learn the facts. All right. How water is affecting illness and aging. I've just talked about that. Real filtration versus the fake marketing. I'm sure you've heard plenty of things, but now we actually get to cut through all the noise and get to the truth. The 2-layer water strategy, and we get to tap into an optional stream of income through water education, what I like to call being a water ambassador. Ooh, fancy. Okay. And before I dive in, I want you to know exactly what you're going to walk away with. We are not really told the truth, but we get to drop in on the data that is available here and what is gets to be shown all across the US. So this is for US. If you're coming in from another country, you can check your municipality, check your what's in the water in your region, in your country, and we'll actually be able to talk more about that towards the end. We are going to look at how water directly affects illness, aging, inflammation, and energy because the body's relationship with water is far more intimate than most people realize. Once again, we are water, and we're also constantly recycling the water from the rain to the oceans to the rivers to the lakes to our sewage. It is all one water system. And so, how can we actually create more awareness about what is really going on, what is really being infused into our water, so we can all have clean, safe drinking water? This is all what we deserve. Next, we're going to be breaking down real filtration versus the fake marketing, what actually removes contaminants versus what is just looking good on a label, what's the truth here. And then I'm going to share with you a bit of the water strategy and what it would look like if every modern home adopted this, where you can really see how to provide, safe, clean drinking water for you and for your family, no matter what your pipes are looking like. All right. This is for everybody. And finally, my loves, for those who feel called, we will get to tap into the income potential that is available that is supporting millions of people and living sovereign health conscious lives. And we get to bring this life-changing solution into our communities. So for all my philanthropists and babes out there who know you are here to make a difference, this is how we get to make a difference, not only through the income that we get to create through educating ourselves and through showing up authentically and sharing our story and our lifestyle. That is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but at least you get to see through, see how you can create an income and create a thriving, sovereign stream of potential, like legacy income through this space. So let's dive in. Clear water versus safe water. The EPA only regulates about 90 contaminants, but yet there's 90,000 chemicals used in the US. I'm sure you have seen different boxes and things on your food, different packages and stuff where it has all these different names that we can't even describe. Most of us already know that what clean water doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's actually clean. But here's the part that, most people don't even recognize. In the US, the EPA regulates about the 90 contaminants, even though there's 90,000, which is absolutely insane. Not all chemicals end up in the water, but many do. And most are unregulated, untested, and undetectable to the human eye. It's very microscopic. And so it's not that the families are being irresponsible. We can't blame it on ourselves. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people end up doing, is that they make a lot of these crises like a personal problem as if they've done something wrong, but it actually does come back to more of the big wigs here. You know, we're not blaming anybody, but we do want to take more accountability. We can be mindful for what we can manage and to help support our communities in doing the same, such as like recycling and doing what we can to reduce our carbon footprint. But really, on a massive scale, when there's massive, you know, systems that are contaminating and poisoning the water, then we as individuals can do what we can in our power to take back our health and to take back our sovereignty in this way for ourselves, for our children, everything. Okay, so let's tap into the data. 15 mil. I'm just going to scoot this over to the side. Let me see. Boop. I'm going to drop it down even further. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and drop a 1 in the comments if you can see the data. And drop in the comments, data matters, okay? This is true facts here, and it's important that people know the truth. So drop in the comment, data matters. The data matters. In the US, over 7 million Americans get sick every year from waterborne pathogens. 120,000 hospitalizations annually from contaminated water. And this is in the US. This is where we're supposed to be a first world country, you guys. 6,000 deaths per year linked to waterborne diseases. 324 contaminants found in the US drinking water systems, many of them unregulated. This is the truth. The PFAS, forever chemicals, detected in up to 45% of US tap water samples. This is in over 200 million people's homes in America may be exposed to these contaminated water. And globally, over 1 million deaths every year from unsafe drinking water and poor sanitation. I know you've seen pictures of where it says third world countries like Africa or something like that, where their water is brown. But I'm going to tell you something, that is not just in a third world country, honey. It is right here in the US too. It's not just in Africa or in Europe somewhere far away. It's literally like our neighbor's home or even back out in the country, you know. So it's like we do have to be mindful, even in the city, right? So I think a lot of times with when we're out in the country, we can connect to well and connect to spring water. Not everybody has that access. And so it's like, what can we do to ensure that the water flowing out of our pipes in our home, whether we're in the city, in the country, suburbia, wherever, that we're getting the best drinking water possible. Nearly 2 billion people drink water contaminated with feces. Ew. But it's recycled. Like I said, 3.4 million people die annually from water-related diseases worldwide. Nearly 800 million people, 771 million people still lack access to basic drinking water. Okay. This is what I want you to know. That most people already sense that it wasn't perfect, but very few people actually know the truth behind it. And I want to share this because I don't mean to scare you or to fearmonger or to do anything weird like that. I think it's just important to know, especially in this day and age where you can't hide. You can't hide the truth. You can't hide the science. You can't hide the data. And when we're coming into a sovereign space of wanting to protect ourselves, protect our family, and to take back our health, it's important that we know the truth. And that's exactly why we're all here today, because we want to know the truth and we want to share the truth with others. All right. So this is the EWG tap water database. It tells you contaminants that may include heavy metals, forever chemicals, radioactive substances, nitrates, volatile organic compounds, disinfection, byproducts, pesticides, and industrial chemicals. Nearly five, and here's the website too. So go ahead and screenshot, or you can write that out, and I'll make sure to drop that into the chat. If someone actually could drop that into the chat, www.ewg.org/tapwater. Across nearly 50,000 water systems, EWG has identified 324 different contaminants in drinking water supplies nationwide. PFAS contamination is widespread, estimated in over 200 million Americans receive drinking water with these forever chemicals at levels at or over 1 part per trillion. Many water utilities report water quality that meets federal legal limits, yet fail to meet the EWG stricter health-based guidelines, meaning legal does not necessarily mean safe. And I actually had this conversation where I said, just because something is on the FDA and is FDA regulated does not mean that it is safe. There are plenty of things that have been regulated by the FDA that are not safe for consumption, right? But once again, that's another topic for another time. So if you have never seen this database before, if you've never used this database before, it's a free website, the ewg.org, that you can type in your zip code and instantly see what is in your local water supply. That's incredible to know that. And so the Environmental Working Group, which is the EWG, analyzed that nearly 50,000 systems had the different chemicals in it. And it's far beyond the 90, right? It's like 90,000. And so we're seeing what is already in that. Legal does not necessarily mean safe. That's something to remember. And water utilities are legally required to meet federal limits, but a lot of times these systems are not updated. And so even though they might say that it's safe, they're really not even keeping their backlog fresh or their catalog fresh with all of the chemicals that are actually out there. So after the masterclass, go ahead and go to this website, enter in your zip code, and see your report. Don't let it scare you, let it empower you, and let it really just give you the truth that you deserve. Okay, so here's a couple of the contaminants that I'm pretty sure you're already aware of, but we're just going to tap into it. Different forever chemicals, different things that are hard to break down and that don't break down and that don't break down in our system and that end up causing cancer, that are linked to cancer, at least for the most part. American tap water, and then these forever chemicals end up in our bloodstream. Same thing with the microplastics. These things are actually in our bloodstream. And it's kind of scary, honestly, but we're not doing this to scare ourselves. We're just doing this to have a level of transparency, because we need that. And when we're actually honest with ourselves and with our children and with our families, with our community, with our friends about this, then we're all able to choose better. If we don't know better, we don't choose better. But when we know better, we get the conscious choice to choose different for ourselves. So with these pharmaceuticals, drugs that were never meant to be in your bloodstream, drugs that they're not even yours, right? They're not even yours. You don't need it. Freaking psychotic medication. Sorry. Different painkillers, antibiotics, antidepressants, hormones, pain medications, different antipsychotic medications, different things that affect your mood, your metabolism, your immune system, and your endocrine functions. I mentioned the microplastics, the plastic dust in your bloodstream, plastic particles found in water bottles, different chemicals from the microplastics that mimic these weird hormones. And it's also linked to inflammation, gut issues, infertility, and oxidative stress. And then the heavy metals as well. Invisible metals that can damage the cells. This includes lead, arsenic, chromium, see, different things we can't even pronounce, seriously, mercury, and different things, the heavy metals that have been that have led and have been linked to neurological issues, behavioral problems, cancers, and it's just not safe. It's just not safe for anybody, let alone immune systems that are just building and just coming into this earth, which is our babies. So how environmental events are polluting our water faster than ever. And this is where I talked about it happening on kind of a global scale, that it's not just the individual that's causing these things, it's actually a whole lot bigger than that. Wildfires, toxic ash, carcinogens in the water, burned homes, cars, plastic. Look at the Malibu fires, or even the Asheville floods here in Asheville, North Carolina. It's only a few hours away from me. Burned homes, cars, plastic, and chemicals creating toxic ash that enters the rivers, lakes, and reservoirs, causing spikes in heavy metals, benzene, VOZs, microplastics. And after the Maui fires, literally, you guys, like I'm going to Hawaii in January, and I also have a water priestess retreat that I'm leading in March, where we actually get to have, we get to talk about water sovereignty in general, and how to live sovereign lives, but we also get to have moments in time where not only do we get to have um, prayers for the water and ceremonies for the water, but we also get to talk about the truth of what is causing these fires, because we're not here to sugarcoat it. Storms and flooding, sewage, chemical runoff, overflowing wastewater plants, contaminating drinking water sources. This is happening even out in the desert, right? Agricultural pesticides and fertilizers washing directly into our reservoirs. The PFAS, petroleum products, industrial chemicals surge after heavy rain. NOAA reports that these events are increasing 10 times more than they were even 20 years ago, right? It's that overconsumption. We have to start realizing that sometimes we are taking and taking more than the earth can replenish herself. It's like at the rate that we are consuming and taking and burning things up, the earth is not, she needs more time to um replenish her resources. The aging infrastructure with the pipes, nearly 70% of these water pipes are 40 to 100 years old. Corrosion releases the lead, the copper, the iron, the manganese. Not sure fully exactly what that is, but it's one of the heavy metals. What happened in Flint, Michigan, literally, was not an isolated event. Over 2,000 US citizens exceed lead action levels. Watch the movie Dark Waters. I believe that's on Netflix. Chemical spills, train derailments, drought, and low reservoir levels. So when we talk about the forever chemicals, right, we're talking about these things that are literally in our bloodstream forever. And when we are wanting to take back our health, we have to acknowledge that these things are not meant to be in our bodies. And so this is where the detoxing comes in. Okay. What do these contaminants do to the human body? They trigger oxidative stress. They disrupt our hormones. They accumulate over time, and they actually affect our cells. They interrupt our cellular communication, and they lower our body's resilience. And I want to share too, babes, this is not about fear. This is about truth, and it's about empowerment. So even though some of it can feel like the hard truth, we need to know this stuff, right? This is about reclaiming our water, because this is a divine birthright that all of us get to have. And from whatever has happened, which to be honest, it's been like hijacked, our water and our precious Earth's resources have been hijacked and we get to claim it back. So go ahead, you guys, drop in the comments. Say, I claim my water back. I claim my water back in the comments. We're talking about the bottled water industry, right? We're talking about these common water sources that really, they're not really helping, right? They're helping a little bit, but they're only doing but so much, right? Let's go to the pitchers and filters first, the ones that you can just throw right in your fridge. It does reduce the taste and the odor, but it does not remove those forever chemicals. It does not remove the heavy metals, and it does not remove the pharmaceuticals. It is a very cheap carbon that really only does very little bypassing, and it only channels but just a little bit of filtration. It might look clean, but it is misleading marketing. The contaminants still remain. Also, too, it has a very short lifespan. I mean, practically everything is like plastic. It's like a plastic thing. It's only going to withstand but so much. And then on top of that, the microplastics. Hello, those microplastics, whatever they want to say is BPA, it's still being filtered. And after a while, the plastics do strip down and wear down over time because that's just the natural erosion process. The microbial growth inside the pitcher as well. So you have to think about what is being grown inside of those plastics as well, because everything is vibration, everything is moving, everything is moving particles, and so it contaminants can live on your within these pitchers. It might make the water taste better, but it is not going to actually make it safer. And don't even get me started on the bottled water industry. I have not purchased a bottle of water in so long. I literally cannot stand it. I have actually started to swear by using glass. So I've actually switched to using glass. I do have a huge plastic pink water bottle, but even though I love the size of it, I'm no longer resonating with the plastic. However, it is reusable. So we start with where we can. This isn't about having the latest, greatest, or most fanciest of anything. This is truly about just choosing incrementally over time things that help to make us healthier and keep us more safe. And so with the bottled water industry, 90 to 100% contain microplastics. It's horrible. Think of how many landfills, think about our earth, how many plastic water bottles are just thrown away. I'm not even going to get into that, but I just want to share this, that a lot of times these bottled waters are not anything special either. So even if it's like AI, I was going to say AI, alkaline, these different water companies that say that they have electrolyte water, it's dead water. It really is. There's no meaningful regulation. It's more marketing hype than it is reality. It is expensive. It is wasteful. You have to keep wasting. I know of plenty of my clients who say that their families go through packs and packs of water bottles every week, every day, and then let's look at the spring water, because we already know that the bottled water industry is so harmful for the environment. And also, too, there is another documentary if you want to watch. The other one, the first one was the Dark Waters, and then this one is Tapped, which will show you more about industry corruption. Which, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, get up in there, because it'll make you even more like WTF about it all. But it'll also empower you to want to solve it, which is what we're here to do. Spring water, which is probably one of the best things that you could possibly have, right? Sourced water, but it also is cross-contaminated because of the land and runoff that's from the land. Microbial contamination. So we're thinking about the different algae blooms and the different contaminants and bacteria that lives in the biology that's just around that area. It's like the natural wildlife runoff, the parasites and the bacteria from that, There's really no universal testing standard for spring water. You kind of just get what you get for your area. But if your area is contaminated, and most likely if the tap water is contaminated, then there's going to be an issue with the spring. And also, too, marketing creates a purity illusion that really isn't verified. Like people want to say, oh, the water's straight from the spring. It might be cold and refreshing and mountainous, but honey, it is not as clean as you might think it is. It still is acidic, it still is oxidizing, and it still a lot of times ends up being the dead water. Naturally sourced does not mean that it is safe. Water must be filtered before it can be ionized. And there's actually a really beautiful study that I've been looking into, which is about the different phases of water, with ionization being one of those phases. And the other fourth phase is plasma, which is the water that is naturally contained inside of us. So it's a really beautiful full circle of the water that is within and without. And like I tell you, it is all recycled. So the water that flows through our pipes, that flows through our drains, that flows through the oceans and the riverways, it's all connected. And then we get into the purified, the RO water. Strips all minerals, becoming acidic or hungry, pulls minerals from the body long term. So it's actually pulling and draining and stripping your body. Up to 5 to 7 gallons wasted for every 1 gallon made. So it's actually wasting more water just trying to come up with something, just trying to come up with a purified water, but it's not really doing much for water conservation. It's flat, demineralized, oxidized water with zero oxidants, removes good removed good plus bad leaves water biologically empty, right? So it's removing the good ions, leaving the bad ions. Storage tanks grow bacteria. Once again, same thing with our little plastic filter over there. And then we have the RO, which is often the starting point for bottled water. These are just the problems, right? Now, I want to say that these are solutions. So even though these are beautiful solutions and a stepping stone towards getting the best, safest, cleanest, most delicious tasting water that we can get, it really doesn't cut close to what truly is available here. And we have the solution to that. So, this is where we're at. Here just kind of gives you a little bit of a timeline. You have of your types of filters. You have your basic carbon, you have your pitchers like your Brita, you have your reverse osmosis, you have your distillers, and then you have your solid carbon block. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay. So why solid carbon block is the most proven filtration technology? So here we actually get to learn a little bit more about the filtration, because a lot of people, that's like where they start. If you ask anybody about clean water or anything like that, the first thought is, let's filter the water. Let's filter the water. Yes, we get to filter the water here, and we get to have antioxidant, hydrogen-rich water, living water, flowing water that actually hydrates us on a deeper level. So now we get to really tap in. So we are going to tap into a beautiful filter called MultiPure. It does have 55 years refining the solid block technology, most NSF certifications in the home filtration industry, so it is certified. It has been independently tested for broad spectrum contamination reduction, which once again, a lot of us are wanting to get rid of that lead, the mercury, the asbestos, the chloramine, arsenics, things that should not even be close to our beautiful vessels. I mean, and let's just be real, contaminants are everywhere. Bacteria is everywhere. We're not here to just completely rid ourselves of all bacteria, because there are such things as good bacteria, but we want to get rid and minimize the contaminants that honestly were kind of man-made to a certain degree because of how much it's been filtered through our waters. We should have better water systems and better filtrations that get rid of these nasty contaminants. And so, about the aqua perform with MultiPure. Stainless steel housing, no plastic, right? We're getting rid of that plastic. no leaching or degradation, no mold, no bacterial growth inside. We get to have a clean filter that has a lifetime warranty, the best flow rate, and the compressed carbon matrix. So I want to also say that don't worry about if these things like what is an NSF? What is degradation? What is the flow rate? What is the compressed carbon matrix? All of these things will be, even though they might sound like, what the heck is this? Over time, you will begin to learn and understand it. When I first started getting into this, I didn't quite understand it all at first. It can be a lot of information at first, but it's important to have this information because we get to learn about it in our own time, in our own way. So I am gonna, kind of breeze through this easily, but if you do have any questions, please come to me. I would love to share more information with you afterwards. And also, too, there is going to be a replay. So no matter what time you're coming in, if you're just popping in at the end or in the middle, or if you need to go over something and you didn't quite catch what I said, there will be a replay available. Okay. With the Aqua Perform, you are literally getting 9 cents to the gallon, $2,000 investment in 15 years with no environmental impact. With bottled water, it is quite literally you're paying up to $5 a day, $54,000 that you are spending in nearly 15 years because of how many bottled waters you're purchasing, and it's in a complete environmental strain. And so I want to talk about this a little bit more. So one of the things that I didn't mention before, as we are talking about talking about the water, I want to bring up water reverse osmosis, because with this, it is one of the most powerful purification tools because it removes virtually everything, but it still leaves you with water that is stripped of minerals. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the OR. It's the reverse osmosis, or the RO, excuse me. Okay. Two-part water strategy. So we've talked a little bit about the multi-pure, and I want to share a little bit more about that as well because I have some notes, guys. Like there is so much beautiful, juicy information that I have these slides, and then I also have just a few notes that I've taken just to make sure that y'all are getting as much information as y'all possibly can. So when you switch to a real filtration system, you do protect your health, you protect the planet, and you protect your finances all at the same time. Bottled water creates an environmental and biological burden that we cannot ignore. We already know this. The microplastics, the endocrine disruptors, the petroleum-based chemicals, all of it directly enters our bodies and our ecosystem. And it is a hidden cost that we've all been paying. So this is what I mean by we get to take our power back and we get to live in harmony with sovereignty, living sovereign lives and making sovereign choices, and having water sovereignty, which means we get to really choose. So now that you get to, you're understanding a little bit more about it, I want to introduce you to a real framework that is tried, tested, and true, that has changed everything for me and for so many families across the world globally, not just in the US, but truly all over the world. So, part one is removing the contaminants because no matter how good the water looks, no matter how clear it looks, it still contains the chemicals that we've been talking about, the heavy metals, the microplastics, the runoff, and your body is spending so much extra energy just trying to fight these things off. Filtration is the foundation. It is what protects your organs, your cells, and your long-term overall health. Filtration, however, is not the only thing. It's not filtration alone that is going to be the bread and butter here, right? It's not going to automatically be the water that is of the highest quality for you. There's actually one more thing that we could do here. The part two to this beautiful water strategy in creating water sovereignty is restoring the structure. the hydrogen, and the pH. This means that we get to have our body return to its origin, to its true state. Before the pipes, the chemicals, the storage tanks, and the treatment plants, we get to return to our true origin that is structured and that is supported by one of the most beautiful elements on the periodic table that is found in the building block of nature, my dear, which is hydrogen. So, this is where modern science and nature gets to meet. When your water is both clean and structured, your body doesn't have to fight it. It doesn't have to fight against all of these chemicals and all of these things that were not meant for us. We get to actually drink water and have water that our body absorbs naturally. It uses it, it processes it fully, and it thrives on it. So, here it is, the Kangen water ionizer, restructuring with ionization. It is hydrogen rich, antioxidant rich, and naturally alkaline. Look at that beautiful thing there. So I want to share too a little bit. Let me go back because I want to share a bit more about the technology. Okay. This is medical grade water technology. We get to go into the ionization process and everything that this wonderful machine does, but I want you to first know that this is a medical grade water ionizer. And it's actually from Japan. It's super, super cool. What ionization actually does. Scooch this over. Oh, well, that's cool. We just found a way to make it easier. Okay, wonderful. Altered hydrogen bond. Electrolysis temporarily changes the hydrogen bonding networks in the water. This also, so this is what ionization does. It creates smaller and more dynamic molecule groupings, not the microclusters, but the molecular groupings. It's shown through the nuclear magnetic resonance, the spectroscopy, to have reduced relaxation times. These shifts correlate with quicker diffusion and improved water movement through the body. Increased absorption and superior hydration. Ionization dissolves molecular hydrogen, H2, into the water. And negative ORP, anti-aging antioxidant. Ionized water shows negative ORP, which is the oxidation reduction potential, and the ORP measures a substance's ability to donate electrons, antioxidant effect, into the body. Negative ORP means that the water can help neutralize excess free radicals and it supports reduced oxidative load in the body. It works synergistically with dissolved hydrogen gas. And I am starting to learn more and more about the science because I want to know, what is this actually doing? What is actually happening when we have this hydrogen rich, antioxidant, free flowing water that is actually rich in hydrogen? Like, what is it actually doing in our body? Okay. So we have the first step, which is the filtration. Now we get into the ionization. So once the water is clean, the ionizer uses, so I want to kind of break it down a little bit more just in case, because there's a lot of big words, you guys. So let's kind of break it down a little bit more. Once the water is clean through the filtration, the ionizer uses electricity to enhance the water's natural electrical properties the same way nature does as it moves over the rocks. So it's charging the water, the minerals, and the pressure. The process creates three key properties, and this is what we're talking about now: the hydrogen rich water, antioxidant rich water, and naturally alkaline water. For the hydrogen rich water, during ionization, it dissolves the hydrogen gas that is produced. This is one of the most studied elements in water science, which is the hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen acts as a selective antioxidant, and it's one of the fastest forms of cellular support because of its tiny little size. Antioxidant rich water, which is the ionization, introduces a negative electrical charge into the water. That's the ORP. So this gives the water the ORP, the oxidation reduction potential, which simply means it can reduce oxidative stress, the process that breaks things down in the body. So oxidative stress, whether you're working out, quite literally having mental stress, whatever is causing the oxidation in your body, this water has the ability to minimize the oxidative stress in your body. And you'll notice too, I'm not here to make any medical claims. Truly, I'm not a doctor, I'm a health practitioner, but there is science that does back this water. I'm speaking more about the chemistry because this is what we really need. We're talking about the chemistry and the physics of things. We're not necessarily getting into any types of medical claims here. And then we get into the natural alkaline water. This isn't artificial alkaline bottled water, right? Like we already know the brands. The ionizer doesn't add powders or chemicals to their water. What it does is it simply separates the water into two streams using plates and electrical current, creating hydrogen-rich alkaline water from the mineral content that is already present. The result is clean water. And now it is electrically alive, antioxidant rich, and bioavailable. This is why people feel truly different because the water is finally being received in a way that they can actually use it. And let's move forward. Thank you guys for being here. The power of the ORP. So now we're getting to see the different like antioxidant and the oxidation reduction potential, the ORP. So we can see what's a bit more acidic here. Let me see if I can scooch this again. Perfect. So now we get to see acidic levels, right? Antioxidants, seeing how high on the chart the sodas, the sports drinks, your tap water, purified water, but you still see it's pretty high up on the scale. And then we get to things that are a bit more calm. The green tea, the vitamin C's, the oils, and then we have Kangen water. So now we want to talk about essentially a little bit more of the ionization. We're not adding anything, right? We're not putting anything extra into the water. We are just going off of the electrical charge that happens when it moves through the plates. It charges the water. It speeds up the hydrogen process, and it allows our cells and our bodies to receive it on a much deeper level, allows our organs to receive it on a much deeper level.
Now I'm going to show you.
Whoa. Hey, Martin. Pause. We're going to get into the ORP. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. This is the Kangen water guy. He is here to tell us all about ORP. He talks a lot about antioxidant, talks a lot about oxidative stress. He is the go-to guy. He does have a YouTube channel. I like this guy a lot. And he is just going to break down a bit more of why it matters to have antioxidant rich water.
The water is being...
Oh, sorry, Martin.
Now I'm going to show you a little test to prove that the water is being separated into two streams of acidic and alkaline ionized water. And I'm going to show you in 3 different cups with a few different tests. So first of all, let's fill up with some tap water. And then What we're going to do next is we're going to get the water from the top hose and the bottom hose. So just let that run for a few seconds so it's getting ionized properly. So the first one I'm going to do is straight from the bottom hose. And then we're going to go with the Kangen water from the top. Okay, so got our water there. So you know now that we've got tap, the bottom hose, and the Kangen water from the top hose. So the first test that we're going to do is going to be checking the ORP. So what we're looking at here is if the liquid's causing oxidative stress. Now, on the chart here, anything below 0, so as a positive charge, is actually bad for us. Anything that has a negative charge is good for us. So negative is antioxidant, positive is an oxidant. So right now we have a positive. So the tap water is positive 756 at the moment, okay? Now then, remember that the water that went through the ionizer is exactly the same water. So from the bottom hose, that is the runoff, the acidic water, the oxidizing water. Let's just see what happens there. It's gone even higher. So it went up to 870. It's come down, so we're at 770. Let's see what happens for a bit. Once it starts getting into the single digits, then it's actually starting to balance out. So supposed to be acidic, so we know that the water goes in as a single stream. It's separated into two for all the different uses that we have within an ionizer. And this is why I've chosen the Kangenate ionizer from Enagic to produce the Kangen water.
All right. Sorry if you guys couldn't hear that. I think for a second it could have cut out because I had muted myself just to make sure there was no extra feedback while I was playing the video. But essentially, what he was doing, and I can go ahead and let me see if I can. Okay, perfect. So I'll go ahead and play that. We're back. Thank y'all so much. Okay, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. I am so sorry about that, you guys. Thank y'all for working with me. Oh my goodness. We are back in the building. Talk about technical difficulties. But honey, we are here. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this. And thank y'all so much for working with me. That was quite a little twisty, but you know what? We're here. We got it. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. We learn together, we grow together, and I'm grateful to have you all here. And it was actually quite easy to get back in. So, we did it. We did it. Okay. And let me share. Present. Yes.
Now I'm going to show you a little test to prove that the water is being separated into two streams of acidic and alkaline ionized water. And I'm going to show you in 3 different cups with a few different tests. So first of all, let's fill up with some tap water. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to get the water from the top hose and the bottom hose. So just let that run for a few seconds.
Give me 1 second, beautiful souls. Properly. I'm going to let that play one more time while I just get it put together. 1 more second.
And then we're going to go with the Kangen water from the top. Okay? So got our water there. So you know now that we've got tap, the bottom hose, and the Kangen water from the top hose. So the first test that we're going to do is going to be checking the ORP. So what we're looking at here is if the liquid's causing oxidative stress. Now, on the chart here, anything below 0, so as a positive charge, is actually bad for us. Anything that has a negative charge is good for us. So negative is antioxidant, positive is an oxidant. So right now we have a positive. So the tap water is positive 756 at the moment, okay? Now then, remember that the water that went through the ionizer is exactly the same water. So from the bottom hose, that is the runoff, the acidic water, the oxidizing water. Let's just see what happens there. It's gone even higher. So it went up to 870. It's come down, so we're at 770. Let's see what happens for a bit. Once it starts getting into the single digits, then it's actually starting to balance out. So we're coming down a little bit more. But we still got the water there that's acidic, and obviously it's a runoff. So let's just see where we get to. 63. So it's starting to balance now around 300, around the 330 mark. So we can see it's into single digits. Now then, so we went from positive 700, positive 333. Now we'll go straight into the Kangen water and look at that. Straight into a negative, negative 370, negative 400 it's going to get over to. So we can see the power in that the water's actually been charged. The water from the top hose here that comes through the ionizer, goes over the plates, comes out, the alkaline ionized water is charged. Moment negative 430. Okay, so a powerful antioxidant. So there's the first test, which is fantastic just to prove. Get my meter out of the way. The next test that we're going to do is with the acid alkaline, the top line here. We're going to see what these come out of. Now, we expect, and it's federally regulated, that town water, so tap water, will come out neutral to slightly alkaline. So we can see there. So you can see clearly straight away that the water started off roughly around about between 7 and 8 pH as the tap water. Okay, so we're around here. And then once it went through the ionizer, once it went straight through, it got filtered, and then it got ionized. It's separated into 2 streams. The bottom hose then produced an acidic water. The top hose produced an alkaline ionized rich water. So this is packed, as we explained with the ORP meter, packed full of antioxidants. Alkaline, it's incredibly beneficial for us. We know that this is supposed to be acidic, so we know that the water goes in as a single stream. It's separated into two for all the different uses that we have within an ionizer. And this is why I've chosen the Kangen 8 ionizer from Enagic to produce the Kangen water.
All right. So I went ahead and played that again because I know it got it muted for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on camera. Thank you so much for being with me through that technical difficulty. We are learning together. But that was Martin W. Ball. And so what he did was he just gave you guys a quick demonstration. Who teach he in Martin W. Ball is an educator who speaks about and teaches about the science of the water behind electrolysis and about antioxidant water. And so in the video, he actually tested a few different waters: untreated tap water, acidic ionized water, and freshly ionized alkaline water. So we had that bottom hose and the top hose, and then he grabbed the tap water as well. And so what you'll notice, and what you did notice in that video, is how the numbers shifted really quickly, how it instantly jumped when he got to the Kangen water, how dramatic it was of a difference between the rich water, and how it behaved when compared to the others. And so let's go ahead before we move on to the next slide. It's actually really important to see these numbers change in real time because I think sometimes it can be hard to understand or kind of difficult to understand the numbers or what it really looks like, but having it in a way where we can see the colors change and we can see the meter of it actually changing, it makes it that much more visceral of how different these structures of water actually is and what it does to our body and to the world around us. And so I know a lot of times these different words, some of the words that we've talked about, like alkalinity, alkaline, they do get thrown around a lot. Um, but very few people actually know what they mean or why ionized water behaves differently than chemically alkaline water. So we have basically breaking down the science. So it is simple to understand, starting with what pH is, what alkalinity is, and how ionization restores the structure and potentially your cells, for the potential for your cells to actually recognize. Beautiful. pH and alkalinity, what it actually means for your body. So we have the potential of hydrogen, which is pH. It measures the acidity or alkalinity. High pH alone doesn't equal health. Many bottled water, alkaline waters, are just baking soda. It's not true alkalinity. True benefit comes from active hydrogen and mineral balance. Alkalinity is a buffering capacity. It's all about your water's ability to neutralize acids. So we're not, so it's not about making your blood alkaline. Your body controls that. And it does help reduce the burden on your cells and tissues. Why does ionized water matters? It's a natural electrical charge. It's hydrogen rich. It supports cellular hydration recovery, and it mimics the conditions of the natural blue zone waters, which blue zone waters are in Costa Rica. One is in Okinawa, Japan. So there's places that are considered blue zones where it is actually a healthier, higher quality standard of living for these places. And the people there actually end up living to be a whole lot, living a much healthier, longer lasting life, even up until they're like hundreds. Once again, pH is simply measures how acidic or alkaline something is at that moment. It does not tell you anything about stability, quality, or how the water actually behaves in the body. This is why many bottled waters, like alkaline waters, can show up a high on a pH strip, but the only reason it's alkaline is because the company added minerals or extra additives, but a chemically boosted pH is not the same as electrically alive water, and it doesn't create the cellular response people assume that it does. The real value doesn't come from the pH number. It comes from the active dissolved hydrogen and natural mineral balance, which we'll talk about in just a second. So the alkalinity, which is the buffering capacity, alkalinity is a completely different concept than pH. Alkalinity is your water's ability to buffer or neutralize acids, not in your blood because the body's tightly controls that, right? But in our tissues, our hydrogen pathways, and the cellular environment. Think of alkalinity as the strength or resilience of the water. A high pH water with low alkalinity does almost nothing. A moderate pH water with strong alkalinity has the real buffering capacity. This is why pH alone is not the point. Your body is looking for water that can support its workload, not water that is chemically spiked just to pass a pH test. It's not about the pH. And a lot of times your body naturally can naturally balance its own pH. This is about the how our body can receive it and the way our body responds to water that is hydrogen rich. Now, this is where we start getting into the ionization of things because ionized water has a natural electrical charge created through electrolysis. That means that the water becomes hydrogen rich, electron rich, which means it has a negative ORP, and it's now naturally alkaline through minerals, not additives. This electrical potential is what supports hydrogen on a cellular level. It helps the water move through the membranes and reaches the tissue and mimics the qualities of water found in those natural blue zone states. And in areas where people live the longest, this is the blue zone where people live the longest and have the lowest rates for chronic inflammatory stress. So when people say, how and why is ionized water different? This is the answer. It's not just the pH, it's the hydrogen, the electrical charge, the way the water behaves at the molecular level, and the mineral based alkalinity working together. So now you understand a bit more about the difference between pH and alkalinity and why ionized water is completely different from bottled water. So now let's begin to simplify this even more because that's what's really going to help us get it in there down to our molecular level is through being able to break it down in a way that we can all understand and can potentially explain to the next person. This is what it means to actually, this is what it all really means for your hydration, your daily energy, and this is where the real clarity kicks in. So what does really all of this mean? When you drink 9.5 ionized water, the first thing that happens is not about making your body alkaline. Your body regulates its blood pH with extreme precision. What actually changes is the environment around your cells. Ionized alkaline water has more hydrogen that is active, a higher electrical charge, and a smaller molecular cluster structure, which means it can permeate the cell membrane more efficiently. This means that your cells finally get water into them, not just around them. When hydration actually reaches the mitochondria, the body can begin clearing metabolic waste, buffering acidity, reducing oxidative stress, and restoring balance. So the benefit isn't the number, the pH number by itself. It's the combination of active hydrogen, oxygen, excuse me. I am just a tongue twister today. It is the combination of active hydrogen, antioxidant potential, electrical conductivity, and mineral rich alkalinity that helps the body return to homeostasis. In simple terms, the water gives your cells the condition they've desperately been missing in today's toxic environment. It supports hydrogen, recovery, detoxification, and energy at the root level, exactly where modern disease begins. We're bringing it all down to earth. I know it's been a lot of intense scientific terms that I've been using, but really, when we break it down, it really gets to be a whole lot more simple. And the more that we can begin understanding it, the easier it is for us to be able to share it with the next person, really. And that's what it's about, is educating ourselves and educating the ones that we love. So that is why a replay will be available. So that way you can begin have this from beginning to end, go over it, watch it as many times, and you truly have a copy that will live with you forever until I do it again in a much more clearer way without any interruptions. So thank you for being here, babes. Okay. This is a beautiful chart here. Healing happens in a balanced internal environment, not just a number on a chart. So here we get to look at the different acidic levels, going all the way from acidic to alkaline. So I'll give you guys a moment to just kind of look over that chart. Your blood pH never changes. What changes is the cellular stress, hydration, and oxidative load. Then you have your acidic inputs, soda, bottled water, chemical stress. Your alkaline, and this is where the healing happens. When cells are hydrated, oxygenated, and supported, not overwhelmed. And this chart illustrates stress versus support, not curing the disease or altering any blood pH. Take a screenshot of this, guys, so that way you have it. So when we're talking about ionization, when we're talking about ionized alkalinity in the type of what it carries, we're talking about an active dissolved hydrogen. We're talking about a natural negative electrical charge and a more dynamic molecular structure. This means that the water can finally move to the cell membrane instead of just sitting around it. Once again, it's not just floating around your organs, it actually permeates deep inside. When hydrogen actually reaches the mitochondria, which is, from school, is a powerhouse of the cell, your body's energy, everything begins to shift. The body can start clearing metabolic waste, buffering excess acidity, reducing oxidative stress, and restoring balance at a cellular level. So the benefit is not the pH number itself. It's the synergy, it's the hydrogen, it's the electrical charge, the conductivity, the antioxidant potential, and the mineral rich alkalinity all working together in one. It is what the world has truly been missing. Once again, this supports the hydration, recovery, detoxification, and real energy at the deep level. This is exactly where modern disease begins, when we don't have these things. So now we're getting to look at a balanced internal environment, and we're seeing the different things that we can put in our bodies. And you see, as we get into the fruits and vegetables, how it starts to become more healthy for us. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, I want you to look at the center, which is the tap water. That's your blood. And your blood never changes. You see, it's a healthy 7.365. Your body protects that with everything it has, because your life literally depends on it. And so the point of alkaline water is not to change your blood pH. It's to change the environment around your cells. Now look at the left as we look here more towards the red and the orange. That's when we start getting into things that cause our body stress. The sodas, the sports drinks, the ROs, the chemical foods, the processed foods, different types of forever chemical exposure, and chronic stress, which, there's so many things in our environment and systemically that cause us stress on a daily. These things increase oxidative stress, inflammation, and cellular burden. Over time, this affects the environment, and it creates a hostile environment for healing to even happen. And unfortunately, it actually is counterproductive. Now, if we look to the right, as we're gauging more into the blues here, we get to see the different zones that are supportive for our body, for our blood, for our health, and ultimately for the hydration of our body and for the healing of our body, for the regeneration of our body. This is the mineral rich water, the fruits and veggies, the whole foods, and natural antioxidants like blueberries. And so you'll also notice something really powerful about this chart, is that the moment the internal environment begins supportive, hydrated, oxygenated, more efficient, the more that it becomes more balanced, the more that the body starts to become just more supported. It becomes more like it's like a better bioavailability for healing to actually happen. There's more of an electrical balance. The body becomes more supported, more oxygenated, and it also becomes more efficient at clearing the waste and reducing cellular stress. Once again, we're not talking about changing the blood. And I have to reiterate this because a lot of times people think that it's changing your blood pH, and it is not doing that. So we just have to get really, really clear here. And so I just want to kind of end it with a takeaway. The acidity represents the stress on the body, and the alkaline represents the relief for the body. Healing happens when the body is hydrated, oxygenated, mineralized, and not overwhelmed. And this is exactly why hydrogen rich, ionized water matters, because it supports the environment where healing processes become available. And there's two books at the end here. If you'll see down here at the bottom, there is a book called You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty by Dr. Um, Faridun, and a beautiful last name I do not want to butcher, Batman Geledish. The medical doctor who spent decades studying the role of water, cellular hydration, and chronic stress in modern illness. And then the other book that he has here is Your Body's Many Cries for Water. He was actually one of the first physicians to publish research connecting cellular hydration with things like healing capacity, inflammation, and overall resilience. So when you see these books, just know that they help illustrate the exact message that we're all talking about here. It's not that water cures diseases, but that proper hydration is foundational, and that a dehydrated, stress induced internal system is where a lot of this modern issues begin. What these books do is simply help people understand what happens when the body is hydrated and when the body is supported and not overwhelmed. Right. ATP. If you are in the health and wellness industry or you have done a little bit of some physiology work, then you are familiar with ATP, honey. So, this is the energy currency of your cells. Now that we have talked about pH, ORP, the cellular environment, and why hydrogen actually matters, I want to take you one level extra deeper, another layer deeper into the mitochondria, which we just kind of tapped in, because this is where your energy, your vitality, and honestly, your entire life force is created. And it comes down to one thing, the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency of your cells. Every thought you think, every movement, every repair your body makes, all of it requires the ATP. And to create ATP, your mitochondria needs three things: oxygen, nutrients, and water, real water, conductive water, water that can actually reach the mitochondria. When ATP production drops, you feel it. Tired, foggy, fatigued, inflamed, dehydrated, sluggish, run down. This is one of the roots of all modern symptoms of low vitality. And the piece that most people don't recognize is For all of human history, we drank living water, naturally ionized, mineral rich, hydrogen rich water that moved through rock pressure and Earth's magnetic fields. That water carried an electrical charge, it carried dissolved hydrogen, it carried structure. But in the last 100 years, a tiny blink in human existence, we completely changed our water source. We moved to chlorinated municipal water systems, stagnant pipes, plastic bottles, RO, and distilled water, water that is stripped, oxidized, and biologically dead. And this is the first time in human history that our cells have been cut off from water that we actually evolved and lived on. And what happened in this exact same window? A global rise in oxidative stress, chronic fatigue, inflammatory conditions, metabolic issues, and mitochondrial dysfunction. I'm not saying that the water is the only factor, but our biology has been missing its original fuel source. Our cells were designed for ionized, structured, hydrogen rich water, and we've been drinking the exact opposite for decades, if not a century.
Cheers to hydrogen.
So this is Dr. Shigyo Osta, what you need to know about hydrogen. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video, and then we'll continue.
Cheers to hydrogen.
And hydrogen can distribute everywhere within 10 minutes.
Within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've seen some incredible imagery, which we'll show to all of you, where the circulation in the hands goes, the temperature goes from 96.1 degrees up to 98 point something, and you just see how the blood flow increases, and that's within 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to drink this now, and 10 minutes later, the hydrogen will have penetrated into all of our cells?
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. And we can detect the hydrogen in everywhere.
And in those 10 minutes, Dr. Ota, tell me, it's fighting the oxidative stress that's going on in the cell?
Yes, that's right. And hydrogen can directly react with the oxygen species.
It can or cannot? It can directly work with oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially that is important that after release of hydrogen still continues the function. It is clear. You may feel
the hydrogen continues to function.
Yes, without absence of hydrogen in the body. So hydrogen function of the regulation of gene expression. Okay, it is difficult to explain, but if we drink hydrogen water, after 1 hour, the hydrogen released from our body via lung. Okay, but still the role of hydrogen, the beneficial role of hydrogen, continue for one day.
Wow.
That's important because some people feel curious that if we drink hydrogen water, after 1 hour, hydrogen is released. So we must drink whole day,
right,
several times. So in that case, we must hydrogen water 10 times a day. But if we drink hydrogen water once, the effect is continue for 1 day.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's very important to you.
So it's going through the cell membrane. It's working on the free radical damage that has occurred and that may continue to occur. You mentioned to me, which is obviously a subject that I'm very interested in, how it regulates autophagy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
There are already several papers describing the effects of the regulation of autophagy. And autophagy also has a lot of function to regulate our body. And, for example, hydrogen regulates dementia via regulation of autophagy.
Interesting. So the hydrogen is studied in clinical research to activate the autophagy, and as we all know, that's the process of recycling and repairing and removing the parts of the cell that are no longer needed, so the cells can behave like they were when they're younger, which is what we're looking for. We want to live the healthiest for the longest, right? So how does hydrogen work specifically with the mitochondria? Why is it that 10 minutes after we've drank this, not only has our circulation improved, but we have so much more energy? Why?
The hydrogen. Oh, yeah. And actually, the target of hydrogen is not only mitochondria. Maybe there are several targets, and shows regulation. And especially the hydrogen activate mitochondria, and also hydrogen produce energy. So we have a lot of beneficial effect of hydrogen, and also hydrogen suppress the inflammation, and inflammation also give a damage for the whole body, and also hydrogen suppress the inflammation. And in that case, without effect of mitochondria, hydrogen can function on the surface of the membrane, and then modify the mediator that suppress inflammation.
So many of us are dealing with inflammation. I'm having just been on a 14-hour flight to come see you here in Tokyo. I was worried the whole time about inflammation, and I took my hydrogen as I was traveling, and I got here and I felt a lot better than I would normally felt. So it's suppressing the inflammation, it's energizing the mitochondria or activating the mitochondria. Tell us a little bit more about how it works for the skin and for beauty.
All right. There's so much more that we could get into, and it's so beautiful how they're going over all the different things about the the autophagy, and how she was about to dive deeper into the beauty water, because there's actually a function on our water ionizer that creates beauty water, and it's so amazing. And so I wanted to share too, if we could, let's go ahead and just make sure everybody's muted, just so that way there's not any feedback. But I just wanted to share that something's really important, that he's actually one of the Dr. Ota is actually one of the leading researchers in molecular structure in molecular hydrogen, and the scientist whose discoveries opened up an entirely new field of therapeutic research for hydrogen. And so also too, I really love how he explains the hydrogen has like this beautiful intelligence, how it neutralizes the most harmful free radicals without blocking the beneficial ones that your body actually needs. This makes the H2, which is the most selective antioxidant we've ever discovered, right? And because it's the smallest molecule in the universe, it reaches places nothing else can, including your mitochondria and your brain. This is where your regeneration, clarity, energy, and cellular repair actually begin. And so the question here, how do we get hydrogen-rich water in a way that is stable, medical grade, and in a consistent way? This is how the Kangen water became the global standard. I am here to show you the technology behind it all, babes. Why Kangen is the gold standard. Over 50, nearly, it's been like 52 plus years, and Nagic was founded in 1974. This is over 50 years of proven technology that we have been manufacturing medical grade water ionization systems for decades, long before alkaline water was even a trend. It is a certified Japanese medical device manufactured in Japan and used in hospitals, clinics, and wellness centers, backed by Japanese Ministry of Health certifications, the highest global standard for water ionizers. Nearly 6,500 doctors in Japan recommend Enagic. And if you know anything about Japan, they are very strict as it relates to their health certifications and standards of living. Preventative care physicians, PCPs, across Japan recognize the machine for its water quality, engineering excellence, and medical device reliability. So that we understand now that why and how hydrogen works inside of the body, how ionization changes the electrical environment around your cells, and why reconnecting to structured, mineral-rich, antioxidant-rich water is so important. Let's talk about the technology more and its reliability. Why is it the gold standard? This is why, through its OEM, manufacturing, titanium plates, and engineering. OEM manufacturing, not outsourced. Enagic builds everything in-house. Plates, chambers, electrolysis units, and circuitry. Most competitors buy outsourced low-grade components. It is the highest quality solid titanium and platinum plates. 100% solid medical grade plates, not mashed, not sprayed. Ensures stable hydrogen production, longevity, and no flaking, peeling, or heavy metal breakdown. It is industry leading longevity, meaning it has almost 30 years of life. These machines routinely last decades. I've actually heard people who have had their machine for 40 years. That is so incredible. There is no chemicals added to engineer pH. It's not multiple waters. It's one device, or excuse me, it produces multiple waters with the one device. And it has a global recognition. It produces 7 types of functioning water: drinking, beauty, cleaning, produce, wash, sanitizing, cooking, baby bottles, and more, and has a global recognition. Enagic holds dozens of quality certifications: ISO 901, quality, environmental, medical device, and the Water Association Gold Seal. Enagic is the only brand of alkaline water ionizers Gold Seal certified by the Water Quality Association. You also, too, if you look down here, you get unlimited lifetime support. The company is so incredible. They have local services across all the globe, full in-house service centers, over 32 physical locations, and users across 140 countries. You guys, I have literally found a water station in the middle of the country. When I was traveling, I found a water store quite literally in the middle of nowhere. I was so surprised, but so deeply happy that we could find it quite literally on the side of the road. It was so divine. Ooh, community photo. So here we get to see some of the uses. So take a look here between the strong Kangen water, the clean water, beauty water, the shine water, and the strong acidic water, each having their own functioning and their own uses in how this water benefits our lives. 11.5 cleans our produce, our floors. Oop. Clean water for medication and for infants, beauty water for mirrors, toners, rinsing our hair, watering our plants, washing our dishes, and cooking. And then we have our strong acidic water, which helps to act as a sanitizer agent, kills viruses and bacteria. Use it as a gargle rinse. It helps to heal and sterilize cuts, burns, funguses, and clothing stains, which is pretty incredible. Now, I shared with you that in the very beginning that there was an issue and we're here to solve it. And this is what it is. There is a global crisis, and this is why educators, people like us, why we are needed more than ever. Nearly 2.2 billion lack the safety managed drinking water worldwide. It's just not safe to drink. US drinking water violates safety standards in every state. The forever chemicals that we talked about, the microplastics that we talked about, the wildfires, the industrial runoff, the aging infrastructure within the pipes, the contamination every year. It just gets worse and worse. The municipal treatment plants are not designed to remove modern chemicals, pharmaceuticals. It is a contamination center for the most part. It doesn't really filter out anything. And also too, just their list of what they even filter out is just not up to date with how much chemicals there actually is. And this is why word of mouth actually wins in water education. Sometimes it is about who you know and what they're saying. Sometimes just hearing it from your friends, hearing it from your family members can go a whole lot further than just hearing it from even me or some guy on TV or some person on social media, but us really getting to come together and huddle in this space and have a masterclass where I get to share this with you is truly so special. So thank you all again for your time and your presence here. I really appreciate it. So this is why word of mouth is so important. People trust people, not corporations. We don't have any super hyped up advertising budget. We don't run a bunch of TV ads. There's no big influencer campaigns. We just simply invest in the education, not a bunch of marketing. The crisis is growing faster than awareness. So people actually a lot of times realize this stuff before it's too late. Education creates empowered buyers. So when we actually know what the water is doing, when we know what the medical ionizer is doing, when we know why it's important to have this in our lives, then we feel more empowered for our purchase. And we actually know that what we're purchasing helps ourselves, helps people and the planet. And that's what we get to do as conscious creators and as conscious consumers. And educators receive the awards. So instead of paying ad agencies and the billions of dollars that goes into marketing, the compensation actually comes back to us, the individuals who are sharing the real solutions. When truth spreads person to person, clean water reaches the people who need it the most. Real people, real backgrounds, real impact. These are the water ambassadors in our tribe. I actually just had the privilege of speaking more with John, so that was really special. We have John and Kent Campbell, who are actually part of the Molecular Hydrogen Institute. We have Lene, who is a badass mama living in Colorado, who is a traveler. I actually had the privilege of meeting her for the global Health and Wealth Summit here in Alpharetta, Georgia. That was only a few hours drive for me, but I got the chance to meet her, and it was such a beautiful celebration. And then we have Elise, real estate agent turned water advocate. These are people who are on a mission. They're here preaching and speaking and sharing about the water because they know what it has done for their lives, how it's impacted their families, impacted their communities, and all the ways where they also get to have a beautiful income because of this, just because of their simply sharing. It's a mission that really anybody could be a part of. And so now, beautiful hearts, your next steps. Go ahead and get your water evaluated. I've already told you about the EGW, the EWG, where you can type in your zip code and get specific municipal, like find out what is in your water. So the first thing I want you to do, get your water evaluated. Send a photo of your faucet to the person who actually invited you here and will help you determine what your home actually needs. Then we're going to go ahead and get you set up with your protection path. We're going to get you that free pre-filtration, get you the ionization, either one or the other, or we'll give you the full sovereignty stack and have you get that combined offer. That's what a lot of people are doing just because it's just so much easier that way. You just get it all in one swoop. Then ask us about our in-house financing, right? This is an investment that we are making on our health and our wealth. Most families can qualify with even $0 down option. So go ahead and check that out. Ask the person who invited you, or if I invited you, ask me about it. And if you feel called to this mission, my loves, as a sacred water ambassador, message us today about becoming a water ambassador. You don't need a lot of experience. You don't need sales experience. You don't need all the things that you might think you need. All you need is a heart for impact, and an open mind, and a willingness to learn, even when it's the sciencey stuff that can seem super overwhelming and can feel like a lot, but still, we're here to educate and be sovereign leaders. And that is it, my dears. And I just want to also too, I want to add in a couple more facts here that I didn't quite share that weren't added into the slides, but I want to share too that with Enagic, you do have a warranty. So if you did purchase a product, the company is super helpful and will support you in getting all the things that you need, whether it's you getting any type of cleaning, which you really only need every so odd years, any type of warranty, they will cover you. Most competitors usually only cover you for about a one or 2 years, but Enagic covers you for full 5 years. And we've also gone over just the global certifications, the way that there's no extra chemicals, no baking soda, none of that. There's so many different uses for the machine. It is quite literally a no-brainer. And sometimes I don't like to use the word no-brainer, but come on, it's super simple, babes. Like once you see how many uses there are, once you see that we are solving a true crisis, you truly get to see that it's so worth it. It really is what I am saying here. And so I also too want to go back to because I want to share about the community. That was a few members of the community, but even here, these are some of the women who actually went to Bali. So if you are in the feeling that beautiful, like sacred yes to join us as water ambassadors, we actually have a few different options available. My beautiful mentor, Mary Rose, is actually having another Bali retreat in May, and it's actually a gathering for everybody, but for the women who are coming together, men as well, who are coming together through the water, through legacy, through sovereignty. We get to celebrate together in these beautiful tropical blue zone spaces and really come together to build each other up, to grow our health, grow our wealth, grow our sovereignty, and rise as priestesses that are here to impact people and planet and to truly make a difference in our lives. And I'll also share with you too, my dear, that I am hosting a retreat in Hawaii. I am hosting a retreat on Big Island. It is in March of next year, 2026. And you actually have the potential of coming to Bali for free. Oh, and Hawaii for free. So if you are interested in either of those, reach out to me, reach out to the person who invited you here, and we will get you started, baby. I want to say thank you so, so much. Thank you to everybody who has taken the time to join me today for this beautiful masterclass. This is the Water Reclamation. Once again, my name is Szaltana GiiGii Wild. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to talking with you more soon. If you have any questions, reach out to me or reach out to the person who invited you here, and we will make sure that you get any and all information you need. Once again, this replay will be available. So if you do need the replay, go ahead and reach out to the person who invited you here or me, and I will make sure to give you that link once everything is locked and loaded. So I will expand the screen and get us back here. Thank you so, so much to everybody who joined. Have an amazing night. Happy Thursday. And I will see you again very shortly. Hearts, lots of love. Thank you, Water Tribe. Thank you, everybody. So grateful for your presence here. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good night, everyone.